unmarked army is advancing. A secret laboratory hidden deep in the forests outside Moscow, where even most high-ranking military officials were denied access. 5 political prisoners were given an offer that, as far as they knew, was impossible to refuse. 30 days of participation in an experimental program in exchange for a full pardon and freedom. They weren't told everything. They were told exactly enough to make them agree. The conditions of the experiment were simple on paper. A sealed chamber, 5 beds, a full supply of food and water. An experimental stimulant gas was pumped into the air through the ventilation system, designed to keep human consciousness active without a single minute of sleep for an entire month. The Soviet government was searching for the perfect soldier, one who would never get tired, never fall asleep on duty, and never need rest. The 5 prisoners were to be the first to test it on themselves. The first few days passed almost peacefully. Behind the thick observation glass, the scientists saw 5 people talking, playing word games, sharing stories from their past lives, and laughing at their own jokes. Their spirits were high. After all, these were their first days of freedom from prison cells, even if their new cell wasn't much larger than the old one. But by the 5th day, the microphone recordings began to capture something that forced the scientist on duty to call the project director in the middle of the night. The conversations were becoming increasingly fragmented and paranoid. One of the subjects suddenly fell silent in the middle of a sentence, stood up, slowly approached the glass, and pressed his face against it, as if trying to see something on the other side that physically could not have been there. When the scientist on duty asked through the microphone what was wrong, the man simply raised his hand and pointed at his fellow subjects. "We are not alone in here," he said, so quietly that the recording had to be played 3 times to make out the words. No one in the laboratory slept that night. By the 9th day, the situation had changed completely. Screams from the chamber became almost continuous, but they were not screams of pain or suffering caused by sleeplessness. The subjects were screaming and begging the scientists not to reduce the gas supply, but to increase it instead. They no longer wanted to sleep. It seemed they feared sleep more than anything else in their lives, even the prison they had escaped from. One of the men began scratching at his own chest with his fingernails, deeper and deeper, muttering that he was trying to get to whatever had settled inside him. The scientists watched from behind the glass, paralyzed, unable to bring themselves to give the order to enter.